Okay, welcome to my very first Innistrad Midnight Hunt draft. So this is my first time seeing the cards outside of a set review, so I might not make the best choices very early in the format, but let's jump into it and see what looks good. So we're starting here with our rare being a dual land, which I don't think is how we really want to start. The cards of interest here, I think, are Scab Wrangler, which has a pretty strong looking ability and a decent body. We have Spellroom Painter, which actually I think has a very good base, and that you have like this 2/3 for 3, which isn't great, but then you essentially have prowess on it, and then it flips into a 3/4 with double prowess, which I think is pretty cool, but it really wants to go in a very specific deck. Like this almost certainly wants to be blue-red, so I'm not sure that's where you want to start the draft either. Also, from watching the set review, I was pretty impressed with just the raw stats that you get with Diregraph Horde, so I also think that would be reasonable. So here, among the three, I'm just going to break the tie with Scab Wrangler being the cheapest, which I think is often good to do, and see how this develops. So here we have Beloved Beggar, which I do think is pretty cool. I think you definitely would like to have a way to discard it, potentially, so that you can just cast it as the backside. But if you have to cast it as the front side, 2 mana 0/4 can help you stall for the late game to be casting like your big 6-drop flyers, so it's not the worst. We also have Clarion Cathars, which is just a functional reprint of Day Squad Marshal from Ikoria, which was a pretty good card. I don't think it's as good, it's certainly not as interesting as Beloved Beggar, but decent stats. And then we have Organ Hoarder, which has a below rate body at 4 mana for a 3/2, but we also have this tacked on Anticipate to our graveyard, which is just all upside in this set. And since that's in the same color as Scab Wrangler, I think I'd rather just take that and stay safe than go into white right now. So here we have 4 cards to consider. They're all not blue, so we're going to have to go out of color here. So Fangblade Brigand does just seem generically powerful. Even by itself, 4 mana for a 3/4 that can get first strike and fire breathing, pretty reasonable. And then it just turns into like a wide pump enabler on the back, which is good. I do think that it maybe doesn't go as well with the cards that we already have picked. That's probably not what blue-red is trying to do, because blue-red probably wants to have a pretty low creature count. So it's probably meant to be in something like red-green or red-white. We have Candle Trap, which is mediocre removal. Removal is always something to think about, but I'd rather not spend this high a pick on Candle Trap. I am interested in Cathar Commando, but I don't really know, because I haven't played the format yet, how many like disenchant targets there actually are to know if the sack ability is going to be relevant. And then we also just have Shadow Beast Sighting, which actually just seems like great value and could potentially go really well in like a blue-green deck where you have self-mill going on and maybe can just use the flashback for extra value. So I'm going to go ahead and take that and speculate a little bit on blue-green. So here we have some more interesting picks. Seize the Storm does seem very good. It does almost certainly want to be in blue-red, but we're not very far down the path of blue-green or anything, so it's something to consider here, but it almost certainly has to be in that deck. If we wanted to stay in blue-green, we also have Duel for Dominance, which just seems like a reasonable removal spell, and then if we wanted to stay a little bit safer, we could just pick up a second Organ Hoarder and not commit to the green too much, which I think is what I want to do here. Okay, so this pack doesn't have too much for us. Really the most interesting thing here, I think, is Unblinking Observer. Possibly the Bounding Wolf deserves some consideration, but the Observer is a mana dork for instants and sorceries. Things like Shadow Beast Sighting or other like flashback cards that I might want to self-mill are going to be kind of expensive on the way back, so having the extra mana for that seems reasonable, so I went ahead and took that. So I think this now becomes a pretty interesting pick. We don't have any blue cards, and our green cards aren't inspiring. So I've seen a lot of different opinions so far about Faithful Mending, and I'm kind of interested to give it a try, so I'm kind of leaning that direction. More Corrupt Behemoth also just seems like pretty good stats, and so maybe if I wanted to anticipate potentially pivoting into like a blue-black zombies, that could be a pickup. But here I'm just going to speculate on the card that I'm kind of interested in and see how things go. So I think this is also a pretty interesting pick here. So we have 3 cards that all fit within like this potential envisioned blue-white deck. So I'd say that Mysterious Tome, Candlegrove Witch, and Gavany Trapper, all pretty reasonable. The interesting thing, though, is that Candlegrove Witch, I think, wants to be in a very different deck than Mysterious Tome wants to be. Candlegrove is a lot more assertive, whereas Mysterious Tome kind of wants to be able to sit back and stall and try to get additional value off that. And so picking here is a little bit difficult. Gavany Trapper, I guess, kind of sits somewhere in the middle. Having a tapper in an aggressive deck isn't a bad thing for sure. So among the cards that I have right now, Scob Wrangler kind of stands out as maybe kind of wanting a slower game, potentially also Shadow Beast siding. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Tome over the more aggressive card. It also means that I don't have to commit any additional picks to white right now, so just staying with blue. Here I think we can either look at Consider or Celestus Sanctifier. Obviously the Sanctifier isn't great, and it will be committing us a little bit more to white. Consider, I think, can probably go really in any blue deck, and a deck that is interested in using like the discard part of Faithful Mending for value probably is also interested in Consider's ability to get things into the yard. Okay, so here we see Morning Patrol, which I actually think seems like pretty good value with the Disturb. The front side body isn't amazing at 3 mana for a 2/3 Vigilance, but just being able to bring it back as a 2/1 Vigilant Flyer gives you so much to work with. And we're really comparing it here just against Geistwave, which I don't think is a great card by any means, so I think I'm fine picking up the white card here. Not too much to see out of this pack, we really just have this Clarion Cathars. So I'm happy picking this up right now. It's also kind of nice for Coven since it gives you both a 3 and a 1 power creature. So we see some more decent white here. I think that I'm more interested in my first Ritual of Hope over my second Clarion Cathars right now, and I think that either could potentially do pretty well in this deck, so let's just pick up the Ritual. Okay, here I feel like I'm kind of getting a little bit rewarded. We do have this Duel for Dominance sitting here, which is a good green card, but I actually thought that Search Party Captain seemed really good in the spoilers, and I'm a little bit surprised to see it here this late. So being in the blue-white lane, I think is paying off. Here we just have nothing for us, and our last pick also does nothing for us. Okay, going into our second pack, we open Dinnick Pious Apprentice as our rare. So this card is probably going to be better in Constructed, of course, but the base stats alone are really quite good. So 2 mana, hard to cast, but still 2 mana for a 2/3 lifelink on the front, great. But then it flips into a 3/2 flyer when you bring it back. Maybe you can draw some cards off it, maybe you can disrupt your opponent's plans a little bit, although a lot of things that you might want to stop from the graveyard in the set actually aren't going to be disrupted by Dinnick, since your flashback and your disturb don't target. I have to admit that as a D&T devotee, I am interested in this card for sure for Constructed as well, so I kind of want to pick it up here, put it through its paces a little bit, even just in a totally different format, save myself a wild card. I also think that it's just the right pick here. It's possible that I maybe should have considered the Gale Drifter or something, but Dinnick's cheaper and quite powerful, and I think it was the right pick. So here we see a bunch of good cards that aren't going to fit in what we're trying to do, since we're pretty committed at this point to blue-white. So we have Contortionist Troop, we have Outland Liberator, we have Sunrise Cavalier. These are all really good cards that just don't fit in this plan. So for us here, we really just have either this Drownyard Amalgam or a Gavany Silversmith. I think that we're probably more interested in the Silversmith just because it's going to work nicely with Coven, and it is also a little bit cheaper. We don't want our 4 slot to get too full, but right now the Search Party Captain can kind of move down a bit, but we do still have 3 4-drop creatures, so we do have to be a little bit careful of that, but I think this pickup is still fine. So first off, we know that this deck does have a lot of very playable black, which is a little bit concerning, because for us, really all that we have here is, I guess, an Unblinking Observer or a Celestus Sanctifier, neither of which are exciting cards. I really don't even think that I'm going to be playing the Unblinking Observer that I already have, and I do kind of need to lower my curve a bit, so a 3-drop creature in Celestus Sanctifier isn't the worst for sure. So maybe you can end up binning something that would be helpful, so we'll pick that up here. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and pull out my other Unblinking Observer into the board anyway, because really it looks like it's just going to be a Piker for me in this deck, and if I want a plain Piker, I'm not doing that well. Okay, so this pack doesn't leave us a lot of options either. Really all that we're looking at here is probably this Bait Hook Angler. Getting some low drops is good. At least in my experience from playing Shadows over Innistrad, having low drops was pretty important because when you're playing against a werewolf player, you need to be able to keep them from flipping things early on. Otherwise, you can just get run over. So having the 2-drop here I do think is pretty important, even if its stats aren't incredible. I don't think that Thraben Exorcism seems main deckable here, and I don't want another 4-drop in Gavany Silversmith, so we'll just take the Angler. This deck shows us some more decent black, which is still a little bit concerning, but I think I'm too far down the blue-white road to deviate at this point. So we have a few options here. We could pick up the Shipwreck Sifters. It's possible. I mean, we are in the spirit colors that maybe we can get some good value out of this, but I still don't really think that the payoff is that great, even if you're making it happen. Like, you probably need to get 2 counters before it's exciting. Winterthorn Blessing does seem pretty good. It's something that you can dump into the graveyard for value. It would have to be a splash though, and I'm not sure that I'm looking to do that. We also just have Evolving Wilds, which is a pretty safe pickup, fixes our mana regardless, and then going into like the third pack, if we see something we want to splash, it then becomes a lot more possible. So let's just take the land here. Okay, so here we see some options in Gavany Trapper and Lunarch Veteran as 1-drop creatures, and then we also have Secrets of the Key, which is possible. It is something we can cast from the yard. I do think that it's probably going to be a bit slow for this deck, which probably wants to be a bit more assertive, so I'm not really interested in that. I think I want one of these 1-drop creatures. So I'm interested in seeing how Veteran performs, so I'm going to go ahead and pick that up here. I also already have an inconsistent tapper in the form of Mysterious Tome sitting in my deck right now, which makes the trapper maybe a little bit less important. Okay, I think this is an easy Candlegrove Witch at this point. I think the deck is definitely developed in a direction where we want this card specifically. It is interesting to note that Root Coil Creeper is still here, which I think looked very good from the spoilers. So maybe there was space to have been green-blue like I originally thought. It's also possible that this deck wouldn't mind playing Otherworldly Gaze, since ditching things into the yard for value is something that we can kind of get away with, but the Candlegrove Witch is exactly what we ordered. So here there's not a lot for us. I think our best pick is just to speculate on this clear shot potentially for our sideboard. So here we have a pick between Odric's Outrider and Gavany Trapper. We do already have a lot of 4s, so I'm a little bit concerned about that. I actually made a mistake here and thought that I had already picked up a Gavany Trapper, but I'd actually chosen the Lunarch Veteran before. So I did in fact go with the Outrider versus what I thought was the second Trapper, but I think that probably the Trapper was the right pick, just because our 4 slot is a little bit glutted right now. So here we don't really have too much at all. I don't want a Stormrider Spirit, almost certainly. And so really the only thing to look at here is this Drownyard Amalgam. The Can't Blocked ability is certainly going to be good and limited to help you close out games, and the stats are actually pretty decent, so I'm happy with that. So here we have another chance at a Stormrider Spirit, still don't want one. Diagraph Horde did look really good, but I think we're very far away from playing that, and I don't even think you'd want to splash it. So because I already had this Evolving Wilds, it's possible that we pick up something in pack 3 that I want to splash with that, at which point maybe this Crossroads Candle Guy could provide some kind of mediocre fixing to help with that, so we'll just take that for the board. Another chance at Stormrider. It seems like everyone agrees that you don't really want to play this, so nothing here, and last pick Eccentric Farmer, which actually is a little surprising. This card seems good. It's not for us, but it does seem late. Okay, so into the third pack. Reckless Stormseeker does kind of seem like a cool card, but it's not at all what this deck wants to do. It's not going to be splashable. So really there isn't a ton in this pack for me. We really just kind of have our choice here between a bunch of 4-drops. So we could take one of these creatures in either Odric's Outrider or Gavany Silversmith, or possibly pick up this Revenge of the Drowned if we really wanted some more interaction. Since we're taking a 4 regardless, I think I'll just take what I think is the best card here, which is the Silversmith. Okay, so here we actually get another chance at Beloved Beggar. The first time we saw it, we weren't sure that we were going to have a way to discard it, but here I think that we can be very confident that we will. Right now we can get things into our yard with Consider, Faithful Mending, our 2 Organ Hoarders, so I think that we can be very comfortable picking this up. I think it's also worth noting that there's this Cathar Commando here, but I think that the Beggar/Generous Soul package is going to do better for us. Okay, here we get another chance at Shipwreck Sifters, but I still just don't think that we're there, especially when we have the option of Locked in the Cemetery. So I don't actually have a lot of removal in this deck so far, and it's possible that Locked in the Cemetery might actually be the best choice at common for removal for me right now, because it's really just competing with Candle Trap, and I think this is probably going to be better. So we're pretty happy with the Locked in the Cemetery here. Okay, so here we have a choice all between some pretty low drop things. We could now pick up our first Trapper, since I didn't actually have one before, another Bait Hook, which is possible, but again, not the most exciting stats, or maybe a Candle Trap here. But I think that our first Trapper is going to be the best choice of these 3. Okay, so Sunset Revelry seems like a really cool card. I know it's obviously intended for constructed play, but even in limited, I don't think this is the type of deck that's going to want it. We're trying to be a bit assertive, we're trying to have small creatures on the board. We're just never going to be in a situation for this to be good. We also have the option here between Candle Trap and Unruly Mob. I really think that I probably should have taken Candle Trap here after looking at my removal package, especially because I don't think that Unruly Mob is going to be great in this deck. It's probably intended more for like your black-white where you can actually do self-sack and trigger it when you want, but I did take the mob even though I think that was maybe a mistake. Okay, so here we have Hedge Witch's Mask, which really just doesn't seem that great to me. Even in a deck like this, where we have, for instance, several like smallish flyers from like the backside of our disturb cards, doing the 1/1 pump just doesn't really seem like where I want to be. I think it is worth noting that we have Olivia's Midnight Ambush here, which I do think looks like excellent removal, and we do have an Evolving Wild, so it's worth considering the splash, but I don't want to stretch my colors in this pretty low curve deck. So instead we kind of just end up taking the safe pick of a third Organ Hoarder. I think that we can get good value from this, so it's okay but not exciting. Okay, here I think we're really just picking between two 3-drop white creatures, and I think that Morning Patrol is quite a bit better with the extra value that you get from the Disturb side compared to Celestus Sanctifier, which has kind of a mediocre ability. I definitely don't want a second Mysterious Tome here, because the deck has progressed in a way that being faster is going to be better, and I don't even think that it's the type of card that you want two of anyway. So here I think you can make an argument for Vivisection or Startle. Although I think that Startle is just going to be better. I actually think this card seems really good, since you get like a potential almost 3-for-1 if you are reliably like mixing it up in combat. And with all of these smaller creatures, I think that we actually will potentially get those type of opportunities. So we're going to take that here. Okay, here we really just have Odric's Outrider. Not really what I want, and another 4-drop, but we're not taking the Exorcism. Here we have another Outrider, and there's no way I'm playing this one, so this is straight to the board. And then there's nothing for us in these last 4 picks. First, let's look at stuff down here that I might not want. I could certainly see an argument against Startle. Let's look up here. 20 creatures, so I can definitely cut some creatures, / should cut some creatures. I want Search Party Captain, and Search Party Captain is almost certainly going to be like here. So I think we can go ahead and slot that there. Unruly Mob isn't great in this deck, I don't think, but it's okay. So I'm not totally sure that I want to cut that. Clarion Cathars. This does help with the go wide. I think I do want this. I then have like my pick of Outriders and Silversmiths. I might not play any Outriders at all. I think I just go ahead and cut that. And then I think I go ahead and cut the Startle. Maybe not. This actually does seem like pretty good value if you're going to be attacking a lot. Maybe I cut the Tome dirtily in a deck that I don't think actually wants to be dirtily. It is a way to keep something large tapped down. I do have the Trapper and I do have the Locked in the Cemetery. Do I want to be playing 17 lands? Let's see, Consider is kind of a land and my curve is kind of low. I'm not totally sure I want to cut one though. Maybe I'm supposed to cut... I think I want to cut another 4-drop. I think I cut another Organ Harvester. And then maybe I cut... Maybe I cut a land. I could see an argument for that. I could also see... I think Ritual of Hope is going to actually be kind of okay in this deck. I think Startle's okay. I think Faithful Mending is maybe a little bit suspect. But I kind of want to try it, and I don't think it's bad or anything in this deck. I have a decent number of Disturb cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe I don't need like the Sanctifier. I don't know that I want to cut a 3 though, just for curve purposes. Maybe we cut the Startle. It's probably the Startle or a land. Let's cut a land. Okay, we have no white mana. I think we mull this. We keep this, and we put back Probably Unruly Mob is the worst one here. It is, of course, a 2 that I could have theoretically played, but... not bad. Don't think I'm interested in that trade right now. I did not find... For real? Okay. I think what we want to do is just pass. Like, they're probably going to know that I have something. Because I'm stopping at weird times. But I very much want to hit my land drop, and Startle draws me a card. Okay, they apparently don't need lands. Interestingly, they did not want to just flash that back. Okay, so let's go ahead, startle you. Did that go well for me? I'm not sure. And then disturb. Okay. Did finally find a land. So let's see. I could cast Beggar and then consider. That's probably the right thing to do, right? Okay, nothing. Ritual of Hope. Yeah, we're gonna put that into the graveyard. Trapper. Okay, so now I can play... I guess now I can play Trapper Tome. I could play Morning, I could play Sanctifier. I probably want to play Trapper and something for sure. So let's play Trapper and... I guess this, because it can attack through the larder. And it's day. No attacks. They milled over Phantom Carriage. Huh. It's a little surprising. This 1/2 flyer is going to be pretty good. Okay, so becomes night. Put one into my graveyard, huh? I guess we're going to put the Silversmith in the yard, because I kind of want the land, unfortunately. So let's go to combat. Attack here. And then we're going to play you. And I guess just you. I could have played the Tome, but... Okay. Daytime. I guess here we just take Faithful, right? Yeah, probably. So now I could cast maybe like Silversmith. Silversmith puts a counter here and here. Yeah, okay. I think that seems good. Here and here. Okay. So then Dinnick eats Sanctifier, take 3. It's going to be a nice engine for them. What is that? What was that symbol for? I don't know. That's unfortunate. Now I think I'm probably going to lose. Yeah, I'm just dead. That was the type of thing they needed. So we have only white mana, but we do have several things we can play, so I think we'll keep this, especially on the draw. Not really what I want to see. I guess now any land gives me Silversmith. He's kind of cute. Ooh, this card looks cool. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do this. Go get my blue. Play the beggar. And attack with the veteran, I guess. This is whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard. Put counters on veteran and probably the Silversmith itself. That would be okay. Or maybe just put it on Unruly Mob as well. Definitely on veteran. Probably on Unruly Mob too. Okay, attack here. Nah, I think we'll put it on the bottom. I don't think I need that. Okay, so I think we just go ahead and attack here, and then play Clarion. So we have Coven if we need it, like easily. I hadn't really noticed that they were stuck on one color. This obviously puts them in a pretty bad position, having to like main phase draw off that. Startle is excellent here. Okay, so let's go to combat. Attack, attack, attack. So, like, I just had a removal spell, made this token, and drew a card. Like, this isn't worth a card, but it's pretty close. Like, that's like starting to border on a 3-for-1. Startle actually kind of seems good. Okay. Do they just want something to die? I can't imagine why they would care. Okay. Let's say we full attack. They block, so they block like here and here. They take 3, 4, they only take 5. Okay. So then the question becomes, do you attack with anything? Probably not at that point. So I think we just play Tome and Dinnick. Or we could just draw a card to prepare. Yeah, we probably do that. Okay. To prepare to tap this. Maybe I should have got some little ballsy. They're returning Deluge. That's fine. I don't think you're going to have time to use that stuff. Okay, so they're only going to have 2 blockers, but I'll actually have good attacks this time. Only cost 1, so I'll have 4 mana. Okay. So we do this, we tap that, please. And then we go to combat and attack with everybody but Beggar. So they can block 2 things. They take 2, 3, 4, 5 at that point. But all of their blocks are trades. So they probably actually block Unruly Mob, Chump the Cathars? Probably. Well, they have something. Okay. Oh shit, they had 2 somethings. Okay. Well, that went a lot worse than I expected. The cost reduction off that was like super important. So let's see, we could replay Clarion or we could play 2 things. But Clarion brings 2 things. Let's just do that. Okay. Gosh, I thought they were gonna have nothing, and then they had 2 tricks. That was really good. They don't have attacks. And let's say that they do nothing. What does that look like? 2 of these can't block, so then they have 3 blockers. They block, 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 and take 1. So that's not good for me. So I'd have to chill a little. They can cast like a 5-drop instant or sorcery. Okay. I don't know why you attacked with the Decayed token. You need something to die? Yeah, I don't know why they just did that. Okay, Ritual of Hope, I think, actually just wins, right? Well, no, because now they have 4 blockers. I attack with everybody. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can get them to 1. Are the blocks good? Well, let's see. I do have Coven. Yeah, I totally have Coven. So let's say I full attack. If they block, if they let through anything but beggar, they die. So we attack, attack, attack. They block here. I think we can afford to just attack and see what they do. Okay. So everyone attacks. They might just think that I accidentally attacked with beggar. If I use ritual, then this dies. This. The only thing that it does is make this die, and they go to 1. I guess that's good enough, though. Actually, sitting there thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, that's actually just pretty good. Kills an extra creature and they go to 1? Yeah, sure. And then we just play out 2 creatures. I have not read this story yet, so I don't actually know what this thing is, but it's super creepy looking. Okay, this looks fine. Holds back the veteran pretty nicely. Okay. Let's just play this and mob and no attacks. So, I could attack with both next turn and play Search Party Captain, but that's pretty bad. I don't think I care to block there. Trample. That's really good. I guess we just play Beggar and say go? Yeah, that's a pretty lame turn. And like, now they have this mana sink sitting here. So I have to say, isn't that the flash one? Just flashing it right now? Is there a trick for a black? Like, I think I just block here, right? Unruly Mob grows a bit, plus that's one of my disturbed creatures. This is only a 2/2. I really need to make a land drop, though. So I guess what I could do... attack here. They won't block. There's too many things I could have. Play that, draw a land? No. Okay. Wonder why they're attacking with that. I don't know if they're like trying to represent something. It's not clear. I mean, I kind of just want to hold Startle, but I don't even have great Startle ability. I guess we just say go. I need to draw the card, I think, like pretty badly. I did forget that they were going to be able to do that, so that's a problem. I think I just chump with Beggar at this point. I guess I don't even have to. Okay, so I can actually just Startle here. It's not very good, but I need to cast it or I waste the mana. Okay. So now we found this finally. So now what we want to do is, I guess, just play Organ Hoarder. I could also play 2 and push it back to being daytime. That is an option. I kind of like that option, maybe. Okay, and then no attacks. So now it's back to day. They kill Unruly Mob. Alright. Make that a 5/5. I do have Coven right now, interestingly. Although against 5 toughness, it's not very useful. Okay, so I think what we want to do is probably just play Tome and say go. We can't attack with the flyers right now. So now I can use Tome, or if I needed to, I could even use Ritual of Hope. Although it would be unusual to need to do that. Gosh, that thing is really irritating. And I don't have a good way to kill it. 6. So I have 2, 3, 4, 5. I could actually try to kill it if I wanted to. Let's go to blocks. Block, block, and block. They can't do this again. This is an instant. How do you order those blockers? Okay, then we Ritual of Hope. This was actually nicely disguised, because they probably thought I just had this up, the draw card. They get to kill one of them. That doesn't stop my Coven, though. They should have killed one that were in the Coven, I think. I mean, we're still not, like, in a great spot. I guess we play Organ Hoarder. I take 1, put the rest into my graveyard. Okay, I'll take Drown Yard. Play Bait Hook. And no attacks. This having reach has proven to be an issue. This is a big old guy, though. It can actually push through that. Although these 4/4s are going to be a bit of a problem. Okay, so 4, 5, so I can actually just go ahead and draw with this. Just draw that. I guess we just play Amalgam. Target me. Found Faithful Mending. Of course, my library is getting a little bit low. think what we want to do is we're going to play Dinnick. We're going to play a land, and we're going to pass the turn. Then we're going to tap this and actually start getting in a bit. Six, 5, huh? Okay. Let's go to blocks. Do we have any onboard tricks? I don't think so. So we'll just block here and here. Investigated. Okay, and then we go ahead and tap this idiot. Sanctifier is actually a little bit scary on this board. So let's go to combat, attack here, attack here. So I think we just play Sanctifier and end the turn. Okay. Another Bramble Armor, huh? So I could theoretically kill that, and I will, because I don't really even want Sanctifier alive, to be honest. And then we just do this. I don't want to pop these Investigate tokens, unfortunately. Okay, they do that. I do this. I guess we just go ahead and tap you. And go to combat, attack, 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 attack. Yeah. Scob Wrangler, I actually forgot was in my deck. That would have helped a lot too. We have both colors. Yeah, this looks actually really good. I am play or draw, I didn't notice. Must be on play. Or they're mulling, although I didn't see the animation for it. Okay, so we do this, we do this. We'll get to go right into Dinnick. Okay. Let's just go ahead and play him. Might as well get the 1 life. I don't think they're gonna block anyway. This turns into what? Just a straight up 4/4? Okay, it's not the end of the world. Guess we get a plains. We don't have Coven. Okay, Dinnick is dead. We'll have Coven, though, if I draw land. I did. Come on back here, Dinnick. Okay, this is going like really well. Dawnguard's pretty good, but Let's see. This would give me Coven. That's the only way for me to get Coven. Okay, that's fine. So we'll do it. Go to combat. Attack for 5 in the air. I could have attacked for another 4 there if I wanted to, but I don't need to. I guess we just play Wrangler. Ward 1, yeah. 3, 4. Okay, so if I just attack, they block here probably. They take 2. I can't attack here. So they would just be taking like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's not enough. Okay, so what I do instead is I play Morning Patrol. Go ahead and use this. Tap you. Tap, tap, tap. And then we go to combat. 5 plus 4, this is exact. Because I have Coven. Whew! That was basically like the perfect blue-white aggro game, I think. Huh. Okay, we do have Consider, though. And we have a 2-drop blue card. On the draw, I think this is fine. Okay, would I like to find a search party captain? No, so put it into my graveyard. Okay. Okay. Seems like we're both having a little bit of trouble on color, presumably. But I have 2 creatures out, so I'm happier with that. We both got a scry, essentially. Okay, that should help. They'll probably draw 2, like discard 2, draw 2. Indeed, both white cards. Search party captain, sun gold. Okay, cool. So I think we'll just go ahead and play Silversmith and try to press the advantage. They didn't find a plains. Yeah, this looks alright. I mean, we don't have any early creatures, which kind of is lame, but we have my colors, so it's fine. And we're on the draw, and we have a lot of creatures. Faithful Mending can help. So it's 3/1, can't be blocked with Coven by small creatures. I mean, I guess we're just going to cast Faithful Mending, which isn't very exciting, but it's possible that we could just have to lock in the cemetery this, which I'd rather not. It's not that good. But it's going to be doing a lot of damage to me, so... Okay, what you got? Search party captain. Search party captain seems really good. I got mine so late, though. I was really surprised. Okay. Draw 2 and discard 2. So, what do I not need? Probably Tome is going to be too slow. And the Ritual is not going to do a ton for me. Although, what am I doing next turn? Oh, I'm not going to play Tome regardless, so I guess we just discard these. And just hope I draw something. And I guess that's something. So we could play Trapper, and then lock this in the cemetery, I guess. Okay. Not the best turn, but just treading water a little bit, right? Fight that. Okay, and they did get their Coven. Oh. Wow. Okay. And they still have Coven. That worked pretty well. So, I mean, we're just casting this, obviously. They have another fight? Shit. Oh, this is really bad for me. And then they flash that back. Do I have a bounce spell or anything like that? I don't remember. I mean, I guess we just have to no blocks, which is really bad. Okay, let's see. I play this, and I end up with 3-4. I actually could then block it. So let's do that. I think that's actually more stabilizing than playing the lifelinker. Not having another fight would be nice. Duel for Dominance is pretty... Candle Trap. Okay. And then they just immediately exile it. And I'm forced to chump. And I don't see how I can come back from this. Because they actually did just have another removal spell. If you're going to rattle off 3 removal spells, and I'm stumbling a little bit, I mean, what are you going to do, right? Okay, I'd have to find... That doesn't really do it. Because it only drops him down to 3, so I still can't really block him. Yeah, we're fine. This is not a good open hand. Like, technically, Startle can draw me a card. I am on the draw. If I were to draw a Plains... Still not even that good. I think I just mull this. Keep that. Put back... Probably Morning Patrol. With the... like, strong hope that I can attack with the Scob Wrangler and then play this on 3. Gosh, I have seen so many Lunarch veterans. I mean, it does seem like a good card, so I guess it's not that surprising, but... Yeah, regretting my decisions on that now. So, they probably just attack, honestly. Oh shit, what's this? Okay. And I've drawn nothing but land. It's not great, so let's just attack. Fine with that. I mean, to some extent. I'm not super pleased about it or anything, but we've drawn all land. Okay, so this is a concern. Especially because a blocker doesn't really help as long as they have this trapper. Go to combat. You're gonna tap me? No. Probably Drown Yard? I mean, it's one of these. I guess we just take Drown Yard. Okay. So we did find a Disturb card. It's a 2-1. And they have this dumb trapper sitting here. I mean, I think that probably just means I'm gonna die. So we play this. I'll tap it though. And then I take 3. Maybe I mill over Beggar. Oh, I did mill over Beggar. That's something. And we still have... We still have locked in the Graveyard in the deck. So they could just go for the double tap here. I'm not going to do that. They're going to do that, which is even better. 4, 5. I think we start with Faithful Mending. Because otherwise, if I just cast this, then they just tap it. Yeah, that doesn't do anything. So I have to cast Faithful Mending. Obviously, we pitch land. Cast Consider. We're really just looking for locked in the graveyard. Which I don't find, so I'm dead. Okay. Boo. But we went, what, 4-3? That's fine.